Have you ever found yourself in a situation that you just can't speak the value of your product or design decisions to your business stakeholders, investors? Or you might be struggling to figure out what might be the most valuable things for you to work on next. This is where metric frameworks come in. They offer a framework to help you organize your product roadmap, understand and monitor what truly matters in your customer's life cycle, and eventually help you focus your product roadmap on only the high impactful things. So this redesign really improved the usability and the look and feel of our product. Okay, that's nice. It increased the activation rate by 12%. If we double down on these initiatives, we can boost our revenue by 1 million. Tell me more. And today we're focusing on the most famous framework out there, the pirate metrics. So a day in the life of a pirate is just kidding. The pirate metric framework has nothing to do with actual pirates. It's simply an acronym. It stands for acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. And why is it called pirate metrics? The acronym is AARRR. Alright, we don't need this anymore. So the pirate metrics framework is a really great framework for product teams, startups, or anyone trying to drive real product-led growth. And in fact, as companies scale, you often find the growth teams are organized by these pirate metrics pillars. You will see in job descriptions acquisition, activation, monetization, and so on. Even though pirate metrics are called pirate metrics, they are not individual metrics. They are just simply the stages your customer go through in your product lifecycle. The actual metrics that you track as a team will differ from product to product. So first up, acquisition. Acquisition is when a user first discover and engage with your product. It often happens in your marketing website and is a true reflection of how successful your brand strategy is. Are you speaking the words that your customer understands and use? Is your unique value proposition valuable to your customer base? Is your CTA placed at the right spot? All of that will result in a higher acquisition rate. The metrics you often see teams track is number of signups. In my portfolio presentation, I shared a case study about how Amplitude learned if we put the product front and center, we get a much higher conversion. We also added social proof to the signups, and we even added a product background to the sign-up modal. And all of these initiatives have proven to significantly improve acquisition rate. Now, before we move on to activation, my favorite metric, I want to ask you for a favor. So my YouTube channel has an acquisition problem. The YouTube algorithm is just not effectively figuring out who they should send this video to. So if you can do me a favor, if you enjoy the content so far, please hit that like button. Now move on to activation. Activation is when your users experience the value your product provides for the first time. And one thing you often hear that people talk about this activation moment is called a aha moment. It's literally someone go like aha when they're using your product. They realize this is what I should use this product for, and this is why it's better than all of the competitors or what I was doing before. And that's a true signal of you are doing something right. Common metrics you see people measure in this stage is simply the activation rate, which means Out of all the new users you acquired in the previous stage, how many of them hit some sort of activation metric? The most famous activation metric is the Facebook's adding 7 friends in your first week. Facebook decides 7 friends is the magic number when your homepage feed start to give you some excitement. That's the benchmark, the metric they used that lead Facebook to their first million active users. And what is the activation metric for your product? Drop a comment below, I want to know. And one of the most common way that companies and products try to drive activation is some sort of onboarding. So it could simply be, I'm calling out my most valuable feature on your first visit. So you know they're there, you can discover it, and for more complex products like Webflow, you often will see an interactive onboarding flow that explains some of the core concepts. So hopefully that will reduce the friction for someone to activate. Next up, retention. Retention is all about habit. Is your product creating a habit loop that keep user engaged and keep coming back for more at the right frequency? Retention frequencies are different for every product. If you are building an email tool like Superhuman or Notion Mail, you probably want people to come back every single day to check their email. And if you are a productivity tool like Amplitude, you probably want about a weekly usage interval where you want people to come back and look at their analytics every week. And there's also seasonal products like Airbnb. You want people to use you every time they take a vacation. So think about your product as a leaky bucket. We all know we can't retain every single user. The goal for retention is to plug as many holes as possible in your bucket so you can retain the majority of your user. The more, the better. And if you want to learn more about how to design a habit loop to get people hooked, Hooked is a great book. So the metrics in this stage you'll often see is either retention rate or churn rate. They are simply the inverse of each other. How many people retain, how many people churn and not come back. A lot of product incorporate some sort of notification to make sure you remember to come back and build a habit. The most famous example for this is the streaks for Duolingo. They remind you, nudge you, or even guilt trip you to come back and keep your streak going. Next up, referral. Referral is essentially free growth. When your product is so good at solving someone's problem, they love your product so much, and they just can't stop talking about you. Do you have a product that you give free advertisement to? Also drop a comment so we will know which product to study. These referrals, these word of mouth is crucial for business growth, especially for startup. I remember Magic Pattern CEO have posted one weekend their usage and traffic just shot up, and they couldn't think of why, so they dug and realized a YouTuber just organically recorded and recommended the product, and this is not sponsored, just because he likes to use the product so much. So some common metrics you can track, number of invitations your active user shares, and also percentage of these invitations accepted. And they reflects how well your product referral program is. So Sean Ellis shared this Dropbox example. Share Dropbox with your friends and get more storage. That's a cheap way for them to really go viral. And they did a great job to match their referral incentives to the value that their users are getting, which is storage space. So that's the textbook examples on how you can design for a robust referral system so your active users can share the love with their friends and family. Now moving on to the most important one, revenue. I don't have to explain revenue that much. Without monetization, you will eventually run out of funding, you will run out of runway, and you're not going to go anywhere. So a lot of factors actually go into why would someone pay. Is your business model aligned? Is your pricing right? Is your checkout flow make sense? So you will see a whole bunch of revenue metrics being measured. The most common ones are ARR or MRR, annual or monthly recurring revenue. Those are the revenue from some sort of subscription or contract that you can expect to repeat in the future. Or if you work on a more consumer product, you might find things like ARPU or LTV, average revenue per user, or lifetime value. Those measures how much money you can expect to get on average from an individual end user. And there are a lot of things that you can design for. Shopify's monetization team, you'll find them constantly optimizing for their in-product checkout flow, making the flow as simple as possible, like skipping a step. They are also experimenting with simpler pricing strategy, cheaper pricing, incentives, and just overall UX and design for the pricing page. All right, so now that you understand the Pirate Metrics framework, take a look at your roadmap. Are all of your product initiatives directly driving one of these levers for your business? Especially if you are a startup. It's very costly to work on these nice to have, delightful features in the very beginning when you are fighting for survival. And if you are an IC designer, take a look at your current project. What are you working on? Is your project actively moving one of these pillars in your business? And can you reframe how you message and communicate your design based on this knowledge? Again, understanding metrics aren't just for PMs or business founders. They are for everyone. By knowing how things work and using these words that all of your business stakeholders use, you are more effective in terms of communicating the value of your design, getting funded and buy-in, and eventually get your work celebrated. And if you truly enjoy this video and like to learn more about the business side of things, I invite you to check out my podcast with Ryan Scott on how to talk about the ROI of your design. Thank you so much for watching. Happy designing, and I'll see you in the next video.